Dragon Ball has been running for almost 40 years now, and across its plot development, many battles took place, insane power-ups were seen, and partnerships were formed. And of course, this comes as no surprise from a battle anime like Dragon Ball. Some of them were friends since the beginning, while others were rivals and later became an iconic duo. These are the 25 strongest duos in Dragon Ball's history. Number 25, Goku and Piccolo against Raditz during the Saiyan saga. You see, before their battle against Raditz, Goku and Piccolo were anything but allies. Piccolo was still seen as a dangerous rival who had tried to take over the world just a few years earlier, and Goku's last encounter with him was in the finals of the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, where Goku barely secured victory. The dynamic changed the moment Raditz arrived on Earth, revealing himself as Goku's brother and easily overwhelming the Z-Fighters. After kidnapping Goku's son, Gohan, and demanding that Goku join him in conquering planets for the Saiyan race, Raditz left Goku with no choice but to confront him. Recognizing that Raditz's power was far beyond anything either of them could handle alone, Goku approached Piccolo to form a temporary alliance. Piccolo agreed, and thus one of the most iconic duos was made. Once the fight began, the massive power gap was clear. Raditz's strength and speed dwarfed theirs, and even combined, they struggled to land meaningful damage. Goku focused on close quarters combat to keep Raditz busy, while Piccolo positioned himself to charge his most powerful technique, the Special Beam Cannon. Individually, Goku had superior hand-to-hand skill and quick adaptability, while Piccolo had raw destructive power and regenerative resilience. Their teamwork peaked when Goku sacrificed himself by grappling Raditz from behind, locking him in place long enough for Piccolo to fire the Special Beam Cannon straight through them both, killing Goku instantly and fatally wounding Raditz. In the end, the partnership was forged purely out of necessity, fueled by the mutual understanding that only by combining their strengths could they overcome an enemy who outclassed them in every measurable way. But as we mentioned, it was an iconic one, and for sure, a damn powerful one too. But before we get into the next one, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's keep going. Number 24, Vegeta and Nappa during the battle against the Z-Fighters. Before Vegeta and Nappa's clash with the Z-Fighters, their arrival on Earth had been set in motion by Raditz's defeat at the hands of Goku and Piccolo. Hearing Raditz's death through their scouters, the two elite Saiyan warriors learned about the Dragon Balls and saw an opportunity to gain immortality. They traveled to Earth over the course of a year, during which the Z-Fighters underwent intense training. Goku training with King Kai after dying in the Raditz battle, Piccolo training Gohan, and the others honing their skills with Kami. Vegeta, the Saiyan Prince, and Nappa, his loyal and brutal comrade, didn't come to Earth to negotiate. Their mission was to exterminate humanity and claim the Dragon Balls for themselves. Individually, Nappa was already a powerhouse by Earth standards, with a power level of around 4,000, easily overwhelming Tien, Chiaotzu, Yamcha, Krillin, and even Piccolo in direct combat. His fighting style was raw and aggressive, relying on overwhelming physical power, explosive energy attacks like the volcano explosion and break cannon, and ruthless brutality. Vegeta, on the other hand, was the far more dangerous of the two, calm, calculated, and holding a power level of around 18,000, which placed him leagues above any individual Z-Fighter at the time. He possessed refined combat instincts, precise ki control, and devastating techniques like the Gallic Gun, as well as the tactical mindset to analyze and counter his opponent's strategies. As a duo, their coordination was rooted in hierarchy rather than equal partnership. Nappa acted as the blunt instrument, wearing down the Z-Fighters and forcing them to expend energy, while Vegeta stayed back, observing and saving his strength for the final confrontation. Their combined effectiveness was devastating. Nappa's relentless assault thinned the ranks of the defenders, killing Tien, Chiaotzu, and Piccolo, while Vegeta's presence ensured that any survivors would face a far greater challenge. They didn't need perfect synergy because their sheer difference in power compared to the Z-Fighters meant they could dictate the pace of the battle. Together, they embodied the Saiyan invasion force perfectly. Raw, destructive power backed by lethal precision and a clear chain of command. Number 23, Gohan and Krillin against Guldo from Ginyu Force. Gohan and Krillin participated in many fights during the Namek saga, but this is the only one where they fully go through it as a duo. They're above Nappa and Vegeta because after they get their potential unlocked, their combined power level becomes more than the combined power level of Nappa and Vegeta back in the Saiyan saga. Before their fight with Guldo, Gohan and Krillin had traveled to planet Namek with Bulma in search of its Dragon Balls, hoping to revive their fallen friends from the Saiyan saga. After a series of tense encounters, dodging Vegeta, evading Frieza's forces, and briefly teaming up with Vegeta himself, they found themselves facing the Ginyu Force, an elite squad summoned by Frieza to retrieve the Dragon Balls and eliminate any opposition. Guldo, the smallest and seemingly weakest member, was assigned to fight Gohan and Krillin, while the rest of the Ginyu Force waited their turn. Despite his unimpressive physical strength, Guldo's psychic abilities made him far more dangerous than he appeared, allowing him to immobilize opponents with telekinesis and even freeze time briefly by by holding his breath. Individually, Gohan at this point was a young but remarkably capable fighter, having trained with Piccolo and surviving brutal battles on Earth. His power level was over 10,000 during bursts of rage, giving him solid speed and key attack ability. Krillin, though weaker in raw power, was an experienced martial artist and tactician, skilled in using techniques like the Destructo Disc and Solar Flare to create openings against stronger opponents. Together, they made a good balance of speed, ability, and ranged attack options. In the fight, they initially had the advantage, landing blows and forcing Guldo onto the defensive, but his psychic powers quickly turned the tables, freezing them in place and preparing to finish them off with a sneaky attack. Their teamwork was solid in movement and combination strikes, but Guldo's ability to stop time disrupted their rhythm entirely. In the end, their combined strength and coordination weren't enough to overcome Guldo's hacks-like powers, and it was Vegeta's sudden intervention, decapitating Guldo, that saved them. As a duo, Gohan and Krillin fought with determination and complementary skill sets, but against Guldo's unique abilities, their offensive synergy couldn't reach its full potential without outside help. Number 22, Jeice and Burter against Goku. Before Jeice and Burter fought Goku, the Ginyu Force had already made a flashy entrance on planet Namek, overwhelming Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin with sheer power and over-the-top confidence. After Guldo's defeat at Vegeta's hands, the next matchup put Burter, the self-proclaimed fastest in the universe, and Jeice against the newly arrived Goku. At this point, Goku had just completed his intense training in 100 times Earth's gravity aboard his spaceship, raising his power level to around 90,000, more than enough to shock both allies and enemies. Jeice and Burter, with power levels of roughly 40,000 each, still thought they could handle him, relying on speed, teamwork, and flashy energy attacks to overwhelm their opponent. Individually, Burter's main asset was his incredible speed, which he boasted was unmatched in the universe, allowing him to circle enemies and attack from multiple angles before they could react. Jeice was more of a ranged specialist, using the Crusher Ball, a powerful condensed sphere of ki, and combining it with Burter's attacks for amplified destructive power. Both were solid mid-tier members of the Ginyu Force, far from weaklings, but nowhere near Goku's post-training level. As a team, their strategy revolved around Burter rushing Goku at blinding speed to create openings, while Jeice launched energy barrages from a distance, aiming to catch Goku in a crossfire. On paper, it was a balanced setup, speed and close-range pressure paired with heavy ranged support. But in practice, Goku was far too fast and strong. Number 21, Frieza and King Cold against Future Trunks. Before Future Trunks' clash with Frieza and King Cold, Earth had just survived the chaos of the Namek and Frieza sagas, at least in the main timeline. In this altered future, Frieza had survived his battle with Goku on Namek, rebuilt as a cybernetic Mecha Frieza, and returned to Earth with his father, King Cold, intent on exacting revenge. The two arrived with overwhelming confidence, believing no one on Earth could oppose them now that Goku was absent and still en route back to the planet. This version of events introduces Future Trunks, a mysterious young warrior from another timeline who knew of their arrival and came specifically to eliminate them before they could cause devastation. Individually, Mecha Frieza was far stronger than his Namek Saga final form, with cybernetic enhancements increasing his durability, reaction speed, and energy output. Even so, his power level was still below what Goku had shown as a Super Saiyan on Namek. King Cold, while never having fought seriously on screen before this encounter, was portrayed as a seasoned and calculating warrior with strength comparable to, or possibly greater than, Frieza's second or third forms, but lacking his son's refined speed and energy projection. As a duo, their coordination was more about intimidation than tight combat synergy. They approached Trunks with a mix of arrogance and calculated malice, confident their sheer force and combined presence would crush any resistance. In reality, they underestimated him completely. Trunks, already a Super Saiyan, possessed far superior speed, reaction time, and raw power, dismantling Frieza almost instantly with precise sword strikes and an energy blast that obliterated him before King Cold could react. When Cold tried to bargain and then attack, Trunks dispatched him with equal ease. Number 20, Future Trunks and Future Gohan against Androids 17 and 18 during the Future Timeline. Before Future Trunks and Future Gohan's battle with Androids 17 and 18 in the Future Timeline, the world had already been ravaged by the twin androids for over a decade. In this grim alternate reality, Goku had died from a heart virus before the android threat even emerged, leaving Earth without its strongest defender. Vegeta, Piccolo, Krillin, and the rest of the Z-Fighters had all been killed early in the android rampage, leaving only Gohan and a young Trunks to resist them. Over the years, the androids had transformed the planet into a wasteland, casually destroying cities and killing civilians for amusement, confident that no one alive could challenge them. Individually, future Gohan was the strongest remaining fighter on Earth, a seasoned warrior who had trained for years without Goku's guidance, yet still managed to reach a level that could at least hold his own for short bursts against one android. He had only one arm at this point, but his mastery of ki control, speed, and close quarters combat made him a dangerous opponent. Future Trunks, much younger and still in training under Gohan, had nowhere near his mentor's power, but possessed immense potential and determination. His techniques were solid, and his speed and energy attacks were sharp, but against 17 and 18, he was clearly outclassed. As a team, Gohan was serving as the main attacker, engaging one android at a time, while Trunks supported with ranged ki blasts, hit-and-run strikes, and attempts to distract the second android. Against lesser foes, this dynamic could have been effective, but 17 and 18's combination of overwhelming speed, power, and seemingly endless stamina nullified their efforts. The androids toyed with them, splitting up to keep them separated and exploiting the gap in Trunks' experience. Despite Gohan's fierce resistance and Trunks' unwavering support, they were ultimately overwhelmed, with Gohan sacrificing himself to buy Trunks a chance to survive. Number 19. Piccolo and Android 17 against Imperfect Cell. Before Piccolo and Android 17's fight against Imperfect Cell, the Android saga had already escalated beyond what anyone on Earth initially anticipated. After Android 17 and 18 were activated by Dr. Gero, they quickly defeated him and began wandering aimlessly, driven by a casual desire to find and fight Goku. Meanwhile, Piccolo had fused with Kami, regaining the full power of his Namekian heritage and vastly increasing his strength to rival the androids. This fusion also gave him Kami's knowledge and wisdom, making him not only stronger, but tactically sharper. At the same time, a new threat had emerged: Imperfect Cell, a bioengineered creation of Dr. Gero from an alternate timeline, designed to absorb androids 17 and 18 to achieve his perfect form. Having already absorbed thousands of humans, Cell's power had grown considerably by the time he located 17. Individually, Piccolo was at his strongest point up to then, a balanced fighter with high-speed combat, powerful ki blasts like the Hell Zone grenade, and advanced tactical thinking. His regeneration and stamina made him a durable opponent, and his fused power put him close to Android 17's level. Android 17, on the other hand, had infinite stamina, a powerful barrier technique for defense, and fast, precise ki blasts. He was cocky but supremely confident in his strength, which was well above anything the Z-Fighters had faced before the fusion of Piccolo and Kami. As a team, their partnership in this fight was born out of necessity rather than friendship. Piccolo engaged Cell directly to slow him down, using rapid strikes and ranged attacks to test his limits, while 17 provided supplementary offense from different angles. Initially, they managed to hold their own, landing clean hits and forcing Cell to adapt. However, the gap in Cell's adaptability quickly became apparent, and he used his growing power, regenerative abilities, and techniques copied from other fighters to slowly overwhelm Piccolo, eventually incapacitating him. Without Piccolo's support, 17 found himself alone, still fighting hard, but lacking the tactical edge to prevent Cell from closing in. The fight ended with Cell seizing the opportunity to absorb 17, transforming into his second form. Number 18. The Supreme Kai and Kibito. Okay, truth be told, they don't have any fights where we see them fight together, but they're a similar kind of duo as, let's say, Beerus and Whis. Plus, they have a fusion together, which is another factor that puts them among the better Dragon Ball duos. In terms of power scaling, we can't justify putting them any higher than this. The Supreme Kai himself is stronger than Super Namekian Piccolo, according to Daizenshu 7. Basically, he's about as strong as Cell Game's Goku. Kibito, on the other hand, is weaker. Before the Supreme Kai and Kibito fused, both had already been serving together as the divine overseers and protectors of the universe, with Supreme Kai Shin acting as the primary decision-maker and Kibito serving as his bodyguard, healer, and attendant. Their fusion occurred via the Potara earrings, a permanent fusion method for non-Kai beings, which combine their bodies, powers, and personalities into a single, stronger warrior known as Kibito Kai. As Kibito Kai, their combined form saw a significant boost in raw power, speed, and stamina, along with the retention of both healing abilities and godly sensing. This fusion essentially erased their biggest individual weaknesses, Kibito's lack of refined god techniques and Shin's frail durability, while doubling down on their supportive and strategic roles. In battle, Kibito Kai could theoretically hold his own against weaker threats, heal allies mid-fight, and transport himself or others instantly across vast distances. Number 17. Majin Majin Buu in his good version and Mr. Satan during their fight against Kid Buu. Before Good Buu and Mr. Satan ever faced Kid Buu, the events of the Majin Buu saga had already pushed the Earth and its defenders to the brink after the original fat, playful yet destructive Majin Buu split into two halves, the innocent Good Buu and the pure evil Buu. Evil Buu absorbed the good half to become Super Buu, and through a chain of battles and transformations, Buu eventually reverted to his original, most dangerous form, Kid Buu. This final version of Buu was pure chaos, small, childlike, and playful in demeanor, but completely ruthless, with no morality or restraint, at a level of regeneration and destructive power unmatched by almost any opponent in the series. By the time Good Buu confronted Kid Buu on the sacred world of the Kai, Goku and Vegeta had been fighting him for a long stretch, and both were heavily drained. Good Buu, while no match for Kid Buu's full power, still retained tremendous durability, regeneration, and raw physical strength. He could dish out strong energy blasts and withstand enormous punishment, which made him a valuable distraction against such a relentless opponent. Mr. Satan, on the other hand, was Earth's self-proclaimed world champion and comic relief fighter. Physically just an ordinary human with exceptional martial arts showmanship, but absolutely no key abilities. As a team, Good Buu took on the role of the tank, charging at Kid Buu repeatedly to keep him away from the exhausted Saiyans and to buy precious time. Mr. Satan had no direct offensive capability, but his involvement was critical in rallying the Earth's people to give their energy for Goku's Spirit Bomb later, as well as motivating Good Buu to keep fighting despite being outmatched. Number 16. Goku and Glorio during Dragon Ball Daima. Before Goku and Glorio began fighting side by side in Dragon Ball Daima, the chain of events had already pulled them together under unusual circumstances. After the Supreme Demon King Goma's magic turned Goku and many of his allies back into children, they were sent into the Demon Realm to reverse the wish and set things right. Along the way, they encountered Glorio, a demon pilot with deep knowledge of the Demon Realm's geography and politics. Initially, Glorio wasn't a friend in the traditional sense. I mean, he was working under the orders of Dr. Arinsu, whose intentions didn't fully align with Goku's. However, when survival demanded cooperation, Glorio became an uneasy but necessary ally. Individually, Goku, even in his child form, retained all his Saiyan combat instincts, ki control, and access to his transformations, making him a powerhouse far beyond most enemies in the Demon Realm. His adaptability in battle, combined with his willingness to protect others, kept him at the forefront of every engagement. Glorio, while nowhere near Goku's raw power level, brought a different kind of strength to the table. His ranged demon magic, evasive aerial maneuvers, and sharp tactical mind allowed him to provide cover and guide Goku through treacherous territory that would have otherwise slowed him down. Number 15. Tien and Chiaotzu against Nappa against Bikkura in the Galactic Patrol Saga of Dragon Ball Super. Before Tien and Chiaotzu faced Bikkura in the Galactic Patrol Prisoner Saga, Earth had become a target for the escaped convicts of Moro's Galactic Bandit Brigade. With Goku and Vegeta off-world training, the defense of the planet fell to the remaining Z-fighters. Tien and Chiaotzu, though far from the powerhouses they once stood alongside, were still seasoned enough to step in and protect civilians. Their opponent, Bikkura Koiter, was a metal man, an alien species known for their absurdly durable metallic bodies, making physical attacks nearly useless. Despite his lumbering appearance, Bikkura's sheer weight and toughness meant he could take almost any blow without flinching. Tien still possessed sharp combat instincts, disciplined martial arts, and solid ki techniques like the Tri-Beam, though his raw power was nowhere near that of Saiyans or top-tier enemies. Chiaotzu's telekinesis and immobilization skills made him more of a tactical support fighter than a frontline brawler. Against Bikkura, their initial assault made little difference. Tien's strikes landed clean, but didn't even scratch the Metal Man, while Chiaotzu's psychic powers failed to hinder him. The turning point came when they remembered the strange weakness of Metal Men. They could be incapacitated if insulted. Tien's attempt to taunt him fell flat, but Chiaotzu's unexpected and perfectly timed insult cut through the fight's tension and caused Bikkura to collapse instantly. Number 14. Android 18 and Krillin during Dragon Ball Super. Before Android 18 and Krillin found themselves fighting side by side in Dragon Ball Super, their partnership had long since evolved from the strange beginnings of their relationship back in the Android saga to a stable, trusting marriage. By this point, both had been away from high-stakes battles for years, living normal lives and raising their daughter Marin. The Tournament of Power became their main chance to return to serious combat as a team, representing Universe 7 in a battle royale where elimination meant total erasure of their universe. The stakes were far higher than anything Krillin had faced in decades, and as for Android 18, it was an opportunity to put her infinite stamina and precision fighting to use once again. Individually, Android 18 was still a powerhouse, her cybernetic enhancements giving her immense durability, strength, and speed, along with limitless stamina that allowed allowed her to maintain peak performance for the entire tournament. She fought with a cool, calculating style, exploiting opponents' mistakes and conserving energy between bursts of offense. Krillin, while vastly weaker in raw power, compensated with combat ingenuity, sharp reflexes, and a bag of reliable techniques. Solar Flare, Destructo Disc, and his ability to adapt quickly under pressure. Though not on par with the Saiyans, his mastery of these techniques and his years of experience allowed him to punch well above his weight. Number 13, Goten and Trunks against Android 18. Before Goten and Trunks faced Android 18, while still capable fighters with natural Saiyan talent, their training had become inconsistent compared to Goku and Vegeta's relentless regimen, leaving them strong but rusty. Android 18, on the other hand, remained in peak condition thanks to her cybernetic enhancements, retaining her infinite stamina, immense durability, and refined combat instincts. Individually, Trunks was the more confident and aggressive of the two, charging in with high-energy melee attacks and bursts of ki blasts to overwhelm opponents. Goten balanced him out with a combo approach, using better spacing and reaction-based counters, though he sometimes lacked the intensity to push through stronger defenses. Despite their natural synergy and Saiyan reflexes, neither of them matched Android 18's combat experience or precision. Her attacks were surgical, blocking, countering, and punishing their opponents, while barely expending energy. Goten's and Trunks' coordination allowed them to chain attacks smoothly, but their lack of serious training showed. 18 consistently read their patterns and exploited their overextensions. Number 12, Hit and Goku during the Tournament of Power. Before Goku and Hit joined forces in the Tournament of Power, their relationship had been defined by rivalry and mutual respect. Their first meeting in the Universe 6 vs. Universe 7 tournament saw Goku push Hit to evolve mid-battle, forcing him to improve his time skip technique under pressure. Later, during the Hit assassination arc in Dragon Ball Super, they clashed again, further sharpening each other's skills. By the time of the Tournament of Power, both Universe 6 and Universe 7 faced erasure if they lost, and while they weren't on the same team, circumstances forced them to briefly cooperate against common threats that endangered them both. Individually, Goku was in peak fighting form, with access to Super Saiyan Blue and Kaioken times 20, giving him explosive bursts of speed and power capable of matching top-tier opponents in the arena. His adaptability and knack for reading an opponent's patterns allowed him to adjust to any fighting style, even mid-combat. Hit, the legendary assassin of Universe 6, brought a completely different set of skills. His signature time skip allowed him to leap a fraction of a second into the future, letting him counter enemies before they could react. His mastery over killing techniques, adapted from the non-lethal rules of the tournament, gave him pinpoint precision and the ability to bypass defenses that brute force couldn't crack. As a duo, their synergy came from contrast. Goku's explosive head-on style forced opponents into high-pressure exchanges, while Hit's calm, surgical approach pushed any slip in defense. Against strong foes like Dyspo from Universe 11, they coordinated seamlessly. Goku's aggressive pressure and unpredictable feints created openings, and Hit exploited them with perfectly timed time skip counters. While they didn't fight side by side for an extended stretch, the moments where they did work together showed that their styles meshed surprisingly well. Number 11, Kale and Caulifla against Casserole, Cocotte, Kettle, and Zwar. Then, Kale and Caulifla against Super Saiyan God Goku. You see, before Kale and Caulifla took on Casserole, Cocotte, Kettle, and Zwar in the Tournament of Power, they were already building a name for themselves as Universe 6's Saiyan prodigies. Caulifla had recently unlocked Super Saiyan and was rapidly advancing in strength, while Kale, though timid, had the dormant potential of her Berserker Super Saiyan form. Under Champa's orders, the two worked as a tight-knit unit, with Caulifla acting as the confident leader and Kale as the loyal but unstoppable powerhouse. Their first big challenge in the tournament came when 4 members of Universe 11's Pride Troopers targeted them in an attempt to eliminate both of them at once. Individually, Caulifla was aggressive, adaptive, and quick to pick up new techniques mid-battle, even experimenting with energy-based projectiles and more advanced Super Saiyan power control. Kale, in her base form, lacked confidence, but once her Berserker transformation kicked in, her raw power skyrocketed to the point where she could ragdoll multiple opponents at once. Against the Pride Troopers, Caulifla handled the tactical maneuvering, countering Casserole's light blades and Cocotte's energy shield techniques, while Kale unleashed wide-area power surges that overwhelmed Kettle's flames and Zwar's long-range pressure. Together, they dismantled the 4, with Caulifla's precision and Kale's brute force proving too much for their coordinated Pride Trooper strategy. Their fight against Super Saiyan God Goku was a completely different test. Goku's speed, stamina, and refined godly ki control far outclassed anything they had faced so far. Caulifla's determination to push her limits saw her trading blows and learning from Goku's movements in real time, while Kale, still learning to control her Berserker form, provided bursts of overwhelming offense. attacks. Individually, neither could match Goku's pace or technique, but as a team, they forced him to take them seriously, Caulifla pressing him with rapid combinations, while Kale attempted to land fight-ending hits during openings. Their synergy allowed them to hold out longer than expected, even impressing Goku, but unfortunately, his god-level mastery outmaneuvered them. Still, both fights cemented Kale and Caulifla as one of the most naturally compatible Saiyan duos in the multiverse, blending fearless adaptability with unstoppable raw power. Number 10, Android 17 and Android 18 against Moro. Before Android 17 and 18 confronted Moro, the ancient sorcerer had already absorbed vast amounts of life energy across multiple planets, clashed with Goku and Vegeta in their strongest forms, and reached a point where his power rivaled the top fighters in Universe 7. The android siblings were brought into the fight during the final Earth battle, when Moro, having merged with the planet itself, threatened to destroy not only their home, but the entire solar system. While they lacked the raw power to match Moro blow for blow, the way Goku and Vegeta could, their infinite stamina, durability, and strong battle instincts made them valuable allies in a fight where every ounce of resistance counted. Individually, Android 17 was the more tactical of the two, using his barrier techniques both defensively and offensively, and exploiting openings to land precise counterattacks. Android 18 fought with a more direct style, unleashing rapid-fire ki blasts, devastating close-range strikes, and relentless pressure. As a team, their coordination was seamless. Years of fighting side by side meant they could anticipate each other's moves without a word. In the chaos of the battle, 17 often acted as the shield, intercepting Moro's attacks with barriers, while 18 exploited the distraction to attack from angles Moro couldn't immediately cover. Their infinite stamina was a key asset. Unlike other fighters who risked burning out, the siblings could maintain full output indefinitely, keeping up constant pressure and forcing Moro to split his attention. While they couldn't deliver the finishing blow, their combined efforts bought critical time for Goku and the others to land decisive hits, proving that even against a near godlike opponent, their partnership could stand firm and make a difference in the galaxy's most dangerous battles. Number 9, Dyspo and Toppo against Goku. Now, before Dyspo and Toppo fought Goku in the Tournament of Power, both were already established as two of Universe 11's most formidable pride troopers. Toppo served as the team's leader and candidate for God of Destruction, wielding immense power, refined ki control, and a strict moral code rooted in justice. Dyspo was the squad's speed specialist, famed as the fastest in the multiverse, using blinding movement to overwhelm opponents before they could react. When Goku's performance in earlier matches began drawing Universe 11's attention, Dyspo and Toppo decided to engage him together, aiming to pressure him into elimination before he could recover and reach his peak form again. Individually, Toppo brought overwhelming raw power and durability, along with precision in close quarters combat. His Justice Flash and Justice Crusher techniques combined brute strength with refined energy attacks, making him a threat at both mid and close range. Dyspo, by contrast, relied on extreme speed and rapid-fire strikes, darting in and out to keep opponents off balance. His ability to adjust his speed and movement patterns mid-fight made him especially dangerous against fighters who relied on predictable timing. As a team, they operated with a classic tank and striker dynamic. Toppo took on the role of the powerhouse, cutting off Goku's escapes and absorbing counterattacks, while Dyspo zipped in from multiple angles, trying to land quick, disorienting blows. Against base Goku and his initial Super Saiyan forms, this strategy was effective, forcing him onto the defensive and limiting his offensive opportunities. However, as Goku escalated to Super Saiyan Blue and began adapting to Dyspo's movement, the tide shifted. Goku's combat sense allowed him to read their attack patterns, and his increasing power forced Toppo to exert more effort to keep up. Number 8, Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 against Cell Max. Before Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 faced Cell Max in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, the two androids had been created by Dr. Hido as part of the Red Ribbon Army's Revival Project. Initially introduced as opponents for Gohan and Piccolo, due to a misunderstanding of the Z-Fighters' true intentions, they were eventually convinced to side with Earth's defenders when Hido realized the Red Ribbon Army's true villainy. Their shift from antagonists to allies came just in time. Magenta had unleashed Cell Max, a colossal, unfinished bio-android whose sheer size, raw power, and lack of restraint made him a rampaging, kaiju-level threat. Gamma 1 was the more composed and tactical of the two, fighting with calculated precision and a focus on sustained offense while minimizing wasted movement. Gamma 2, by contrast, was brash, energetic, and more willing to take risks, often diving into danger head-on to create opportunities for his allies. Both possessed advanced energy projection, flight, high durability, and combat strength on par with the strongest fighters on on Earth thanks to Hedo's genius engineering. As a duo, their teamwork was fluid and instinctive. Gamma 1 would often draw Cell Max's attention with steady, methodical attacks, while Gamma 2 flanked and landed heavier, high-impact blows. Against an opponent as overwhelmingly massive as Cell Max, they coordinated hit-and-run tactics, staying mobile to avoid his crushing swipes and explosive ki blasts. Their combined effort bought critical time for Gohan, Piccolo, and the others to regroup and formulate a finishing strategy. The most pivotal moment came when Gamma 2, realizing that raw power wouldn't be enough, sacrificed himself in a massive all-out energy dive aimed at Cell Max's weak point. While the attack dealt significant damage, it wasn't enough to end the fight, but it did open the door for Gohan's final special beam cannon to finish the job. Their battle against Cell Max showcased them as a perfectly balanced duo of discipline and daring, willing to push themselves to the brink for the sake of their new allies. Number 7. Goku Black and Future Zamasu during the Future Trunks Saga. Before Goku Black and Future Zamasu fought together in the Future Trunks Saga, their partnership had been forged through a shared twisted ideology known as the Zero Mortals Plan. In an alternate timeline, Zamasu, the former Supreme Kai apprentice of Universe 10, had grown disillusioned with mortal existence, seeing it as inherently flawed and destructive. After killing his own master Gowasu in one reality, he used the Super Dragon Balls to switch bodies with Goku, creating Goku Black. This gave him the power of a Saiyan warrior combined with his godly ki, while retaining his divine mindset. He then joined forces with an alternate version of himself, Future Zamasu, who remained in his original body, but had also killed Gowasu and sworn allegiance to their shared plan. Together, they turned Future Trunks' world into a desolate wasteland, exterminating nearly all human life and positioning themselves as its god kings. Individually, Goku Black was a prodigy in combat growth, possessing the ability to rapidly increase his power through battle thanks to Saiyan biology. He wielded a fearsome rosé form, essentially Super Saiyan Blue infused with divine ki, which granted him immense strength, speed, and devastating ki weapon constructs like the Energy Scythe and Rosé Sword. Future Zamasu, while physically weaker than Black, possessed godly immortality, making him unkillable by any conventional means. His ki control was refined, and he used his divine powers to project energy blades, unleash powerful blasts, and maintain constant pressure without fear of retaliation. As a team, Goku Black handled the bulk of the offensive fighting, engaging enemies like Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks in intense, high-speed exchanges, while Future Zamasu provided unyielding support, acting as both a secondary attacker and an immortal shield. Number 6. Goku and Frieza against Jiren. Before Goku and Frieza fought together against Jiren in the Tournament of Power, their history was defined by some of the deepest animosity in the series. Frieza had been resurrected from Hell to serve Universe 7 in the tournament, and while his cooperation was purely self-serving, the survival of their universe forced him to set aside personal grudges. By the final moments of the tournament, nearly all fighters had been eliminated, leaving only Goku, Frieza, and a battered Android 17 to face Jiren, the Pride Trooper whose power had dominated the arena since the start. Goku was badly drained from pushing Ultra Instinct to its limits, and Frieza had taken significant damage from earlier battles, meaning neither was anywhere near peak strength. Individually, Goku still retained enough stamina to access Super Saiyan form, using his speed, instinct, and experience to navigate Jiren's overwhelming attacks. Frieza, though physically worn down, was able to maintain his golden form for short bursts, giving him explosive offense and enough durability to survive direct hits from Jiren. Neither alone could match Jiren's sheer power at this stage, but both had the resilience and adaptability to exploit any brief opening. As a team, their coordination was surprisingly tight despite their rivalry. They adopted an aggressive hit-and-run approach, taking turns distracting and striking Jiren to keep him off balance. Goku used his agility and martial arts skill to create angles for attack, while Frieza unleashed sudden bursts of golden form power to land heavy blows. Number 5. Gohan and Piccolo against 7-3 during the Moro arc. You see, before Gohan and Piccolo faced 7-3 in the Moro arc, the Galactic Patrol had brought news of Moro's invasion and the release of several powerful prisoners, with 7-3 standing out due to his unique and dangerous ability. As an artificial life form created by the same scientists who once worked under Moro, 7-3 possessed a specialized data backup system and a copy ability that allowed him to store and use the powers of others simply by touching the back of their neck. This made him a potentially more unpredictable threat than raw power enemies, as he could mix and match abilities mid-battle. When Moro's forces attacked Earth, Gohan and Piccolo took point in defending against 7-3's assault. Individually, Gohan was in strong fighting form, leaning into his ultimate mystic transformation to maximize his power without the drawbacks of energy-draining forms. His combat sense was sharp, his speed and strength more than enough to keep pace with 7-3's physicality, and his ki control allowed him to release precise, high-powered attacks when needed. Piccolo brought his tactical genius, regeneration, and a versatile arsenal of techniques like a special beam cannon, extended limbs for reach advantage, and wide-area energy blasts to control space in the fight. As a team, they operated with their usual, long-established synergy. Piccolo would probe 7-3's defenses and test his reactions, creating space for Gohan to unleash heavy offense, while Gohan's speed and power pressured 7-3 into defensive mistakes. Their coordination was crucial when 7-3 copied Piccolo's abilities, forcing them to adapt mid-battle to their own techniques being used against them. They handled the challenge with composed strategy, keeping 7-3 on the back foot and denying him the opportunity to copy Gohan's power, knowing that would drastically increase the danger. While they managed to hold their ground and inflict serious damage, the fight ultimately showcased how well Gohan and Piccolo complement each other's strengths. Gohan's raw speed and power, paired with Piccolo's tactical setups and defensive adaptability, created a seamless partnership against a highly versatile opponent. Number 4. Goku and Vegeta against Black Frieza. Before Goku and Vegeta faced Black Frieza, the events of the Granola the Survivor arc had left them both at new peaks of power. Goku had refined his Ultra Instinct into a more adaptable style, mixing the calm precision of the mastered form with his own fighting instincts, while Vegeta had unlocked Ultra Ego, a destructive transformation that grew stronger the more damage he took. After battling Gas, the strongest warrior in the universe at the time, they were both heavily drained, standing alongside a similarly exhausted Granola. It was in this weakened state that Black Frieza made his dramatic return, revealing that during his absence, he had undergone 10 years worth of training in a hyperbolic time chamber, achieving a transformation far beyond his golden form. Individually, Goku in his Ultra Instinct could still dodge and counter with unmatched efficiency, reading an opponent's movements at the last instant. Vegeta in Ultra Ego thrived in direct punishing exchanges, embracing damage to fuel even greater offensive power. At full strength, these forms could rival the universe's greatest fighters, but in this moment, both Saiyans were far from fresh. Black Frieza, meanwhile, combined overwhelming raw power with ruthless precision, moving faster and hitting harder than either of them could react to in their weakened states. As a team, Goku and Vegeta had fought countless times together, and their styles complemented each other perfectly. Goku's evasive and reactive Ultra Instinct balancing Vegeta's aggressive and punishing Ultra Ego. But against Black Frieza, their teamwork never had the chance to develop in the fight. Frieza blitzed them both instantly, dropping them with a single decisive strike each before they could mount any coordinated offense. The encounter was less a battle and more a demonstration of Frieza's new dominance, showing that even the combined might of Goku and Vegeta at their current best would need to grow far stronger to challenge him. In that single moment, Black Frieza re-established himself as the deadliest threat in the universe, leaving the Saiyans with no choice but to return to training for the inevitable rematch. Number 3. Beerus and Champa. To be fair, they never fought a common enemy together, but they can be judged from a different standing considering how they rule separate universes and don't have such an enemy. They're the only brother duo amongst the Gods of Destruction though, as twin Gods of Destruction for universes 7 and 6 respectively. Their interactions were often marked by petty arguments, food-related competitions, and one-upsmanship. Their most notable joint appearance in combat-like circumstances wasn't as formal allies at a structured fight, but rather during large-scale conflicts or moments where both their interests aligned, usually when the safety or reputation of the Gods of Destruction themselves was on the line. While it's rare to see them directly coordinate in battle, their sheer presence together represented the destructive might of two universes' apex beings. Individually, Beerus possesses incredible mastery over Hakai, the God of Destruction energy capable of erasing anything from existence, as well as near unmatched martial skill and speed honed over millions of years. His combat instincts are razor sharp, and he can casually outmatch almost any mortal fighter. Champa, though portrayed as slightly less fit and more indulgent than Beerus, is still a God of Destruction in full capacity, meaning his raw destructive power and Hakai ability are on par in principle. While not quite as disciplined or combat-focused as Beerus, Champa's bursts of power are devastating, and his durability is godly tier. Number 2. Beerus and Whis. Again, they never fought a common enemy, but they exist as an angel-destroyer pair. They're also the top 2 strongest in Universe 7, and their techniques of Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego are now the signature techniques of Goku and Vegeta. The reason we rank this duo higher than Beerus and Champa is naturally because Whis is obviously stronger than Champa. Whis is one of the absolute strongest beings in Dragon Ball, sitting comfortably above not just the Z fighters, but even the Gods of Destruction themselves. As an angel and attendant to Beerus, he serves both as a guide and a martial arts instructor, with his primary role being to oversee and advise rather than act actively intervene in mortal affairs. However, when it comes to raw ability, Whis is operating on a tier most characters in the series can't even comprehend. Whis' combat speed is so extreme that he can casually dodge and counter both Goku and Vegeta at the same time, even when they're using their most advanced transformations. His Ultra Instinct isn't a temporary state like Goku's, it's his natural mode of being, allowing him to react without thought to any attack with perfect efficiency. His physical strength, while rarely showcased to its fullest, is easily beyond Beerus's, and his ki control is flawless. He can rewind time by 3 minutes with his temporal do-over technique, heal mortal wounds instantly, travel across universes effortlessly, and immobilize fighters far stronger than most gods with a flick or pressure point tap. Number 1. Zeno and Future Zeno. Now, they also don't fight just like the previous duos. They have a lot of bodies considering how during the Tournament of Power, these two were erasing universes together. But before Zeno and Future Zeno ever stood side by side, each had already been established as the supreme ruler of all realities in their respective timelines. Zeno, the king of all, exists above all gods, angels, and mortals, wielding absolute authority and the power to erase entire universes with a simple gesture. Future Zeno came from an alternate timeline, one ravaged by Goku Black and future Zamasu's reign, where he'd been living in isolation after destroying his own universe to rid it of the corrupted gods and mortals. When Goku brought the two together at the end of the Future Trunks saga, they immediately bonded like playful children, despite holding the most destructive power in the multiverse. Individually, each Zeno's strength is beyond quantifiable in conventional combat terms. They don't fight in the traditional martial arts sense. Instead, their power manifests as instantaneous erasure of anything and everything, without regard to size, speed, or durability. It isn't limited to a planet or galaxy. They can wipe out entire timelines or multiple universes in an instant. No known defense or counter has been shown to withstand their erasure. Their physical durability and speed are never meaningfully tested because no opponent has ever survived long enough to challenge them directly. As a duo, Zeno and Future Zeno are the ultimate overkill. One Zeno is already an unbeatable force. Two acting together is essentially a double guarantee of universal annihilation. They don't employ coordinated tactics in the way normal fighters do. Their teamwork is more about shared decisions, such as jointly agreeing to erase all the losing universes in the Tournament of Power, or erasing an entire reality on a whim. What makes them unsettling is that their childlike personalities mean their destructive choices aren't rooted in malice, but in simple whims and curiosity. Together, they're not just the strongest duo in Dragon Ball, they are the top of the hierarchy, existing as the final authority, with power that turns even gods into silent observers. Click on this video next, where I'm creating the strongest character that ever lived in the world of Dragon Ball. Go on, check it out!